Here to get up this early. I gave myself 20 extra minutes of sleep today, but it was easy to get out of bed once the alarm went off on a football Monday, a victory football Monday. So I do want to bring down the mood. Well, I don't want to, but we have to bring down the mood for a second before we get
one
back.
Of the big storylines.
Yeah, before we get back to the holly jollies of what this game was last night, and Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, the young secondary, and everybody. Like, the team was just spectacular. Really sad news comes out of the Eagles locker room post-game yesterday. Brandon Graham is done for the season. So during the game, first off, he's balling out. He was getting a Stafford.
He was unreal.
Either getting sacks, hurries, half sacks, tackles for loss against Kyron Williams and running backs.
Why was that happening? As they kept pointing out on the broadcast. Because Jalen Carter is a freaking monster.
Yeah, of course.
And he's just creating opportunities for everybody else.
Yeah.
And Jalen Carter's not getting his splashy stuff, but they're just saying, shut down Jalen Carter. We'll take our risk with everybody. We'll take our risk with everybody else.
Oh, by the way, he's held every single play too, Jalen Carter.
Oh my gosh. Tyrone pointed that out on a tweet. Said they showed a sequence of plays, if you missed it during the fourth quarter, of Jalen Carter, and every single one of them there was a hold.
Yeah.
And I'm floored that Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico didn't mention, wow, he's getting held on every play. They didn't mention it, but maybe they're told not to.
Maybe. And I imagine Nick Sirianni and the Eagles might send some of that footage to the NFL.
Poorly officiated game is fair without whining about it.
Yeah.
I think it was the worst officiated game, Eagle game, that I can remember in a long time.
As bad as Isaiah Rodgers was yesterday, that pass interference that was called on him in the end zone, did his fingernail catch him?
I thought the Slay one was more.
It was more.
I thought the Slay one was more egregious that they called.
How about the Landon Dickerson one? I understood the call.
Oh
the Landon Dickerson one. I don't understand. It was a horrible, horrible day by the officials, but obviously it didn't affect the Eagles enough for them to lose. But yeah, bad day for the officials yesterday. But Brandon Graham had a great game yesterday, and then unfortunately you saw a moment where he was sitting on the sideline and he had trainers around him. I didn't catch it in game that he got hurt.
Well, we didn't see the play where he got hurt because he's usually in heavy traffic.
Right.
He's usually in heavy groups of people. But when he came to the sideline, they didn't even show him coming off.
No, they just showed him sitting on the bench with this sad look on his face. And
there was something wrong.
A lot of the reporters tweeted out they just saw Jalen Hurts and Brandon Graham have a long embrace on the sideline. Here's Brandon Graham at his locker following the game yesterday talking about his season being over.
It was a pass play. The running back came and chipped me, right here on my arm. I've been dealing with my tricep anyway, just from pushing people. You get a little tendonitis. But this time it was different. He hit me, and it stung a little longer. And then when they tried to examine me, I knew something wasn't right. And he told me, and, I just tried to process it out there, and then end up leaving off, call my wife and, just let her know the news and, kids crying. But it's look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. No sense of crying about it. Just got to know that I put everything into it. It hurt, but I'm telling you, I'm going to be better from it.
It's sad because, first off, he's Brandon Graham. Second of all, he's playing great this year. And now, Bryce Huff, I know nobody's been in love with Bryce Huff. He's out for some time because of the wrist surgery. Brandon Graham's now done for the season. You're now starting to look around that edge rusher room, and you're going, all right, we got Josh Sweat, who had another sack yesterday, had a good game yesterday. And now you're going to rely on, third-round pick Jalix Hunt. Obviously, you're still going to get your pressure from the interior with Jalen Carter. But losing Brandon Graham is big for two reasons. A, he's Brandon Graham. He is a face of the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's good work on your part.
I imagine he is one of those big leaders inside the locker room. And the second reason, he's been balling out this year. It's a shame.
He's been unbelievable. And we all have a lot of respect, and all of us have had different exposures to Brandon Graham.
Yes.
Did you do a recording thing with him, or was that the Jason Kelce?
No, that was Jason Kelce, but I've met Brandon Graham off air a few times, and my God, is he just a spectacular human being. He
is so generous. He is such a generous guy as far as with his time, his kindness, and everything. It's too early to talk about, but I'm hoping that this isn't it. I'm hoping this isn't.
Well, dude, there are people
Going to
tweeting.
end up
How many
being
tweets did you see yesterday? Brandon Graham needs to play another year before the injury
There are a million.
because of how well
he
was
a
playing.
monster. He was a monster yesterday.
He was playing so good yesterday that people were tweeting, he's got to play another year. He's got to play another year. And then, of course, this happens, and it is unfortunate. But you're right. I do hope.
Yeah, we can have that conversation another time, but just know the respect that this guy has, that we have for this guy, is incredible.
Yeah, he's a great human being as much as he is a great player and has forever been a great Eagle. All right, so we'll get to your texts and your calls throughout the show today at 610-632-0975. But again, our questions today. When it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, are you ready to say that they are not just one of the best teams in the NFC, but change that C to an L? I mean, if you think about it, I will not take the Chiefs off the tier, but you're right, John. They haven't looked good this year.
No, they you know what they look like? And it's probably wrong. They look like last year's Eagles.
Dude, I think